Hi, everyone, and welcome to Southside Online. I'm so glad you're here. And if today is your first time checking us out, my name is Angelica, and I'm so glad to be spending this time with you. If you're new, I'm sure you have lots of questions about who we are and how maybe you can get involved. So we'd love for you to go to our website, southside.org, to find out more about all of the ways that you can get connected to us. Our mission here is to inspire people to follow Jesus, and I'd love for you to join us in that mission. For today, we are going to be hearing from our teaching pastor, Andy Stanley, in a series called Reasons for the Season. We're in part 2, and I can't wait to hear what he has for us. But first, we're going to sing together, so I hope you'll join in with us.
Sing with us, come on. Oh, you make it easy to love you. You are good and you are kind. You bring joy into my life. And you make it easy to trust you. You have never left my side. Been faithful every time. All I want is you, Jesus. All I want is you. We sing. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you, nothing to fear, for you are by my side. I'll follow you anywhere. Oh, Jesus, you came to my rescue. You took my place upon that cross. You redeemed what I had lost. Now my whole world revolving around you. You're the center of my life. You're the treasure. You're the prize. Singing all I want is you, Jesus. All I want is you. We say, you are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you, nothing to fear, for you are by my side. I'll follow you anywhere. Wherever you lead me, whatever it costs me, all I want is you, Jesus. All I want is you. Wherever you lead me, whatever it costs me, all I want is you, Jesus. All I want is you. Sing that out. Wherever you lead me today, whatever it costs me, Jesus. All I want is you. All I want is you. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you, nothing to fear, for you are by my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Sing that with us. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Oh, I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I'll praise your name. I will. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Sing that again. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me.
You know, one of the things that I love about the Christmas season is the hope. We get to learn more about the hope that entered the world with the birth of Jesus Christ. And I know there was a time in my life where I needed that hope so desperately. And a coworker took a chance and sent me a link. Not an invite to church, but a link to check out a message by our teaching pastor, Andy Stanley. And I'm so glad that she did. Ashley taking that step to invite me, again, not in a way that we might think about, but in a way that was helpful for me. I could check out the message from the comfort of my home and begin to learn more about what it looks like to follow Jesus and to learn about the hope that he offers. I will forever be thankful to her for that. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to offer hope to someone this Christmas season. You can invite them to watch online or to join us for one of our in-person services. All of the information about our service times is on our website, southside.org/Christmas. Well, we are about to jump into part 2 of Reasons for the Season. Let's check it out.
How about I unpack and you detangle? Lazy dog.
Anyway, did you get that proposal yet? Okay, good. Can you do me a favor? Give it a good look over. Hang on a second. Here. Give Dad just a minute. Anyway, did you get that proposal yet? Okay, good. Can you do me a favor? Give it a good look over.
Almost. There. Tis the season.
empathy is it's a really, really powerful thing. And if you've ever been in a tough spot and you meet someone who's been in a similar spot, they can't fix it, but just the fact that you know that there's somebody else who's been where you are, it's so powerful. For a lot of us, in fact, I think all of us have had the experience maybe where somebody puts into words something you're feeling, and you knew what you felt, but you couldn't put words around it, and then somebody else puts words around it, and it's like, yes, exactly. And for most of us, this has happened in our lives through song lyrics. At some season in your life, there was like a soundtrack to that season of your life. In fact, when you hear that song now, it kind of takes you back to those circumstances. But so oftentimes, lyricists put into words what we're feeling. And you hear that song, even if it's not even your style of music, and it's like, yes, that's exactly what I'm feeling. And the interesting thing about song lyrics or poetry, if you're into poetry, is that the lyrics never resolve or rarely ever resolve the tension. But at least, when you hear that song or you hear those lyrics, you think, well, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person wondering about this. I'm not the only person asking. I'm not the only person hurting over this or missing out on or hoping that this will be resolved in the future. We've all had that experience. For me, this is a song that's almost 20 years old. I can't believe it. It's Calling All Angels by Train. A lot of you know this song or you've heard this song. And honestly, these lyrics from the second verse, I don't know if I should tell you this, these slip into my prayer sometimes. I find myself praying Train lyrics because it just for me, it so captures sometimes the cry of my heart. Here's part of the second verse. I need a sign to let me know you're here. God, I just need, I don't know that this can get resolved, but I just want to know that you're paying attention because my TV set just keeps it all from being clear. I mean, the more news I watch and the more I understand what's going on in the world, I hear about what's going on in the world, it gets more confusing, not clearer. And then this next line, I want a reason, because that's kind of where I live. I live in my head like a lot of you. I want to understand things and be able to explain things. I need a reason for the way things have to be. I need a hand to help build up some kind of hope inside of me. It doesn't have to be resolved, but I just need to know you're here. And when I hear that song, especially that second verse, I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever not felt that way? God, if I just know you're here, if I just know you're personal, if I just know you're paying attention, if I just know you care, if I just know you're tracking with me through this season of life or through this difficulty of life, I think I'll be okay. The interesting thing is, I'm certainly not the first person to feel that. You're not the first person to feel that. There's an incident in the life of Jesus. Philip, one of his 12 followers, they're having a conversation. This is at the end of Jesus' ministry. And Jesus is going on and on and on. And Philip has this like honest moment where he interrupts Jesus, interrupts Jesus to express, a similar sentiment to this, that things are kind of spinning out of control. And Jesus, from his perspective and from the disciples' perspective, he's kind of talking nonsense, no offense, but I mean, he's going on and on about he's leaving, but he's coming back and they can't go. And they're like, what? I mean, they're in Jerusalem. They're ready for him to be Messiah, And Philip interrupts and he says what everybody else in the room is probably thinking. And maybe this is something you've thought or asked or wondered about and found. In fact, maybe the fact that you never got an answer to this question is the reason you left faith or began to wander away from faith. Philip interrupts and he says, okay, just show us the Father and that will be enough for us. I don't understand all this stuff you're talking about. It's way over our head. Okay, John, I hope you're writing all this down. Somebody needs to write this down. I don't know what you're talking about, but Jesus, just show us the Father. If we know God is with us and if we know God is for us and if we know God cares, that will be enough. We just need to know he's paying attention, that he's here. If we know that, we'll be fine. If I knew that sometimes, that's enough. If you knew that, if you were confident of that, you would be fine, or at least you would be finer. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Today is part 2 of our Christmas series, Reasons for the Season. And no doubt you've seen the signs and the clings, and maybe you have a Christmas tree ornament that says Jesus is the reason for the season. And I certainly, appreciate that sentiment. We want to keep Christ in Christmas, and Jesus is the reason that we celebrate Christmas. But when you follow Jesus through the Gospels, it becomes very clear that Jesus didn't believe that he was the reason for the season. He believed that you were the reason for the season, and I'm the reason for the season. That if we weren't such a mess, there would be no Christmas. That Jesus came near because the world needed something specific, and he came near for your benefit and for mine. That the birth of Jesus was ultimately for our benefit, and it benefits us in many ways. And in this series, we're focusing on 3 ways, or specifically 3 reasons for this season. We looked at the first one last time. We said that Jesus came to bless the world. Essentially, Jesus came to make the world a better place and to make the world better off. And we made the case last time we were together that in fact is what happened. Because of the church and the influence of Christians and Christianity, the world is a better place. And I even said to you, because of what you do in our communities, what you do day in and day out in our communities, that you've made our communities a better place as a result of following Jesus. So the first reason he came was to bless the world. The second reason, the one we're going to talk about, is this, and this is so extraordinarily important. In fact, it's so important, I'm absolutely convinced that even if you believe what we're about to talk about, it is still easy to miss it, even if you've been a Jesus follower a long time. And if you're somebody who's very curious about faith, or you would like to regain or reclaim your faith or come back to faith, or maybe you miss your faith, what we're going to talk about today is the way back. But it is so easy to miss it. In fact, the disciples, Jesus' closest followers, they almost missed it as well. That the reason Jesus came was to demonstrate what God is like. Now, we all of us, even if you're of a different faith tradition or maybe no faith tradition, all of us have some idea of what we think God is like. But it's possible, of course, to get it wrong. In fact, as you think about the way you used to think about God when you were younger, but as opposed to maybe how you view God now, you've even changed in your view of God. But it's easy to get this wrong. In fact, Paul, this is amazing to me, Paul, who wrote over half the New Testament, got it wrong. In fact, Paul, before Paul met Jesus, he was Saul of Tarsus. Before Paul met Jesus, this is amazing, he was absolutely sure that he was right about God and right with God. If you had met Paul as a Pharisee, he would say, hey, sit down. I'll tell you what God's like. I'll tell you all about God. And I'll tell you something else. God and I, we're on the same page. I'm right with God. And then he comes to this sudden realization that he's absolutely wrong about what God is like and his own personal standing with God. And this sudden reversal is not the result of something he discovered out there somewhere about God. The sudden reversal happened when he met Jesus. So after years of theological training, he said, hey, I'm the greatest Pharisee in my generation. I've studied under the best. And even with all that theological education, in one encounter with Jesus, and all of that goes upside down. In fact, he went from this description of himself, it's kind of funny, this is how he described himself before Jesus: as for righteousness, in other words, as for doing the right stuff, based on the law, faultless. Before Jesus, hey, how you doing, Paul? I'm doing great, I'm faultless, I keep the law perfectly, God is so happy with me. And then he meets Jesus, and this is now his new description of himself. Christ, Jesus, came into the world to save sinners. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm the worst. It's like, wait, what happened? You were the best of the best, now you're the worst of the worst. And Paul would say, because I was wrong about God. My whole view of God was so distorted. My view of God was incomplete. In fact, here are the words he uses to describe this. This is so powerful. He's referring to the old covenant, God's ancient arrangement with ancient Israel, and all the customs and traditions that went along with it. And beyond that, he's talking about all the world religions that are trying to figure God out. And here's what he says about all of that. He says, I realize it now. These are just a shadow of the things that were to come. These were just a shadow of the things that were to come. They kind of gave us hints about what was to come, but they were just shadows. Now, you can tell something about a thing from a shadow, but you can't tell everything, right? Shadows can be deceiving. Here's a picture of Sandra and me. So yeah, you can tell a little bit about us, right? But shadows distort. Shadows leave too much to the imagination. So the Apostle Paul continues, he says, these things were shadows. Look at this. He says, but the reality, however, everything before Jesus was a shadow. The reality, the truth about the thing that cast the shadow is found, this is amazing, in Christ. In other words, until the arrival of Jesus, and this is why this is the wide end of the funnel. This is an all skate. This is something everybody should pay attention to, Paul says. Before the arrival of Jesus, There was so much mystery. Everyone was left to guess. Yeah, and there were hints, but there was mystery, there were shadows. And every religious system was pointing to something that's beyond us. And then God came to dwell with us, to demonstrate for us what God is truly like, who God likes, what God values, who God values. And there will always be some mystery. And the reason there will always be some mystery is because God is forced to accommodate to our capacity, just like every good parent does. Every time you answer a question for one of your children, you accommodate to their capacity. Where do babies come from? Depends on who's asking. Is it a 5-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 25-year-old? How do we get 600 plus tons of Airbus airborne? Depends on who's asking. 5-year-old, 15-year-old, 25-year-old, 45-year-old. That we understand that at times you accommodate to a person's capacity. And before Jesus, God, through all these different religions that Paul would say in Acts chapter 17, and even the ministry of Jesus would say, they were shadows, they were hints, they were accommodations. But at Christmas, God sent himself into the world because he wanted us to know and to understand and to have confidence and to have hope. He sent the best possible version because he sent himself. He sent the shadow maker. He sent the shadow caster because he wanted us to know. Here's how Jesus said all that. So again, we're back at the end of his ministry, 3.5 years after walking the earth, doing miracles and all this teaching, and he taught the same things over and over and over so that his closest followers would get the message. And they're gathered for Passover. They're in the city of Jerusalem. He's just hours away from being arrested. And he's trying to explain this to the 12, to his 12 apostles. And he says to them, look, I'm going to be betrayed. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, if you're going to be betrayed, why are we in Jerusalem? We should have stayed in Galilee where it's safe. He says, worse than that, I'm leaving, but I'm going to come back and you can't go with me, but you know where I'm going. And Peter says, whoa. Look, if you're going, I'm going, and I'll die for you. And Jesus smiles and says, you can't go and you won't be willing to die for me. There's so much tension in the room. And then Jesus leans in because he loves these guys. And he knows they're confused. They're like us. They're trying to figure all this out. He leans in and he smiles and he says, guys, don't let your hearts be troubled. And they're thinking, what? Don't let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. They're like, yeah, since we were little boys. He says, okay, I want you to also believe in me. This is so heretical. This is so blasphemous. Jesus says, I want you to trust me, the person in the room with you, like you trust God. I mean, this is crazy. He's equating once again himself with God. And John, who brought us all this, would lean out of the window of history and say, I know it was so blasphemous, it was so disturbing, but here's the reason we didn't get up and leave the room. 4 chapters ago, we saw him raise a man from the dead, not freshly dead, 4 days dead. So whatever Jesus said, and regardless of the fact that we didn't always understand it or comprehend it, we just leaned in because we knew there was something to this. Jesus goes on, he says, my Father's house, talking about God,